I found these little splat emoji balls at the dollar store, and it's a sticky ball and it's a poop emoji. So first of all, kids love poop. Who doesn't love talking about poop? It's a sticky ball. So I had this for an activity I was going to do with a student. I didn't have to say anything. He came right in, saw this splat, and was like, "What are we doing?" And so it's just having things out that they're naturally curious about, and it just like sparks their joy. And I'm like, "Oh yeah, we're playing with that. It's on." And so we were working on vocabulary that day. So I had the words taped to a wall, and then I had the definition. So I would read a definition, and then he had to throw the splat ball to the word that matched the definition. And so that's how you do it. You just have things that are playful and engaging and fun, and they have no issue. The resistance is completely lowered to open the doorway to learning.
Welcome to Single Parent Success Stories, a podcast designed to inspire single parents. Here you'll find resources from self-care to finances to parenting and everything in between. Discover what it takes to thrive. Let the stories inspire you to what is possible. Hello and welcome to Single Parent Success Stories. Today we have a special guest, Amy Herzog. She became a solo parent unexpectedly when her son was 12 years old. Sadly, her former husband of 22 years passed away, leaving her and her son on their own, navigating life through the lens of grief. It was lonely, heartbreaking, and harrowing, but navigated they did to the best of their abilities, often leaning on ice cream for support. She and her son had some rocky years navigating teenagehood, but she is proudly and warning reports there has been much healing and deep connection now with her 19-year-old son. She is happy to share her journey to finding connection through the chaos. Welcome, Amy. It is a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. I'm honored and appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you. So please share with us your story, your journey.
Thank
What were
you.
some of the challenges you faced when you became a single parent?
Yeah, so I did experience a divorce before my husband passed away, about a year prior to that. So for those of you who have gone through divorce, to become a single parent, or perhaps you've lost a loved one, both of those are part of my story. My husband had chronic back pain that led to opiate use. And eventually just he became a shell of who he was in heartbreaking ways. So we remained close throughout his all of his days, but I really needed to take care of myself, and couldn't hold up the whole family anymore. That was where my perception of things at the time. So when my son was 12, I was living right across the street from my former husband. And so he would go home to his dad, and then after school, and then he would come to me for dinner and all the routine things at night. And this particular day, we were thrust into solo parenting as my son went home and found that his dad was no longer with us. Um, it was shocking, but not surprising. His life wasn't sustainable, and yet I just couldn't have imagined being thrust into this role. So, my husband had also been amazing with teenagers. He was a school psychologist, and I am an elementary age specialist. And it was like, hold on, you're supposed to be here for the teenage years. That's not my, that's not my bailiwick. Um, so it truly was a really rough road. For those of you who have lost someone, first, my heart just truly goes out to you. And I found life through Facebook. Honestly, social media was a lifesaver for me. I found widowed groups and a connection there with people who really, really got it and understood. And I just held on for dear life, because some of them were ahead of me, and showing the light, that there was life after the darkness, and I only knew the darkness. And so community has been a huge uplifter for me. Um, and then my son and I, we just kind of fumbled our way through it. I say for like a year and a half, truly, ice cream was how I coped. Luckily, I wasn't into alcohol or drugs, because that truly, if that is your addiction, I pray that you get help, because that is, grief makes you just want to cope. And so I understand that, and mine found my way through ice cream. And yeah, it got really, really rocky and really, really lonely. People don't know how to deal with grief and your sorrow. And everyone just poof, goes away. And so we just muddled through day by day, and we just keep getting back up and keep showing up for each other. Um, I leaned into counseling, I leaned into hospice, I leaned into my friends, I leaned into Netflix binging. and and eventually found our way. I mean, eventually the fog kind of lifted. It was about a year and a half for me where I felt like I could get back and engage in life a little bit more, um, in the ways that I, formerly had. And really, it's been 7.5 years, and I'm now feeling like living the best life. Um, I've found new love and just new strength, and my son and I are just really connected. So yeah, and I'm grateful. The hardships that I went through are now like a lighthouse for my son, because when you're 12, you can't process grief, and he's now 19, and grief is knocking at his door in new ways. I mean, he really went through trauma. Um, so I just encourage you mamas, the pain and the toil that you go through, and the strength that you show, and the way that you show up, and you keep um, being the light for them and the love for them. It absolutely is grounded in them. And then once you're anchored, you're able to be a steady person of support for your children as well. So thank you. That was a long story, but the nutshell of the last 7.5 years.
Totally, totally. And I love, that you were able to find community and go through that and did the things that mattered so that you can be the light now for your son. How did your career change as a result of what you have gone through?
Well, I was very fortunate in that when my husband passed away, Social Security kicked in. Even though we had divorced, as the caretaker, I received income, and my son received income. Um, and so that held us steady. It was like having, a second income. When my son was turning 18, however, that was all going to go away. Half of it went away, my half when he turned 16, and the other half would go away when he turned 18. And so I knew that the career that I had enjoyed in a part-time teaching position was not going to sustain my lifestyle. And so I knew I needed to pivot. Quarantine had shown me an opportunity. I left the school system that year and private taught in little outdoor pods. And I loved that. It was a really wonderful time of connection. Um, and then since then, I've always tutored, but since then I've been tutoring as well for students who are struggling. So life pivoted me in a couple different directions, but I landed on having my own business, my own private practice, tutoring outside of the school system. And through that, I'm able to have the wages that really I deserve after 25 years working with children. And through it, it has really lit up a fire in me. Something that I didn't know was a passion is actually just being able to share this style of learning that I do with kids with others. And so I am launching into the online world and the coaching world, helping other people who are educating children, whether you're a teacher or a homeschool mom. That's been the niche that I'm looking at because it's such a growing sector, and a lot of people are getting into teaching without really knowing how to teach. It's like, I've never taught before, but you know your child well. And so I'm teaching and showing how to play with children as the gateway to accessing their engagement, their curiosity, their critical thinking skills. And so it's just a blast. I'm so fortunate to be doing what I love, and opening that up to others to find it as well.
I love it. That's amazing. Can you give us an example of how you would infuse curiosity into teaching children?
Yeah.
What are the ages? Is it young kids or a little bit older?
Yeah, so my personal specialty is with 5 to 12-year-olds in elementary school. However, I've been engaging some of my adult friends in making reels with me, like playing tag and patty cake. And so honestly, this is for everyone. I've been a student as an adult, and I far prefer somebody who engages us in activities and posters and creative thought than somebody who lectures at me. Um, so it's absolutely, available to all ages. And just a quick example. I have so many, but I found these little splat emoji balls at the dollar store, and it's a sticky ball and it's a poop emoji. So first of all, kids love poop. Who doesn't love talking about poop? It's a sticky ball. So I had this for an activity I was going to do with a student. I didn't have to say anything. He came right in, saw the splat, and was like, "What are we doing?" And so it's just having things out that they're naturally curious about, and it just like sparks their joy. And I'm like, "Oh yeah, we're playing with that. It's on." And so we were working on vocabulary that day. So I had the words taped to a wall, and then I had the definition. So I would read a definition, and then he had to throw the splat ball to the word that matched the definition. And so that's how you do it. You just have things that are playful and engaging and fun, and they have no issue. The resistance is completely lowered to open the doorway to learning.
Just an analogy came to my mind. Throw
Yes, please.
spaghetti against the wall and hope it sticks.
Yes, exactly. Just keep throwing things at the wall and hope it sticks. Exactly. And we do have to do a little of that trial and error, like learning what works for each child. Everybody learns in unique ways, and there are different avenues that people learn in. And so when you find that you try different things and you find what lights them up, that's your gateway. That's some like to have musical, some need kinesthetic, some need that tactile, some want to look and have it visually in front of them. Some like to have a game, some like to have a song. So it's, you find what lights your child up and their interests, and then you follow that path, because that is their brain is going to switch on and say, yes, I'm in.
Awesome, awesome. Do you notice maybe like a predominant learning style with your students, or everybody is all over the place?
Good question. It does vary, but I put a lot of things to games and activities, so it's not a sitting still kind of practice, except for maybe like we're playing a board game or a card game um, uh, but yeah, I found that I use lessons across ages and genders and ability levels. I have games that are versatile. So whether it's learning a letter or a word or a sentence, I can input whatever content I want to put into it, and then we're off to the races. This week, I was filling up balloons, and we were trying to keep the balloon up in the air. And whenever one dropped, they would get to pop it and then read whatever was inside. So for some kids, that was a whole sentence that they're working on fluency. For another, it was their phonetic awareness phonics lesson. And for someone else, it's letters. So all ages and a variety of content. But pretty much if it's a game, the kids are in.
I love that. That's awesome. I think that's what's missing in education is the fun component. It's not
Yeah.
about, drilling and memorization is good, but I call it when you infuse it with fun, when you infuse education with fun, the
Yes.
kids are more curious to learn, they're more passionate about it as opposed to, why do I need to learn this?
Yes.
Because somebody says I have to learn this,
Exactly.
but
Yes.
have
And we're
no real connection to it. And I
Mhm.
think infusing fun, I don't know who said it, but if you're not doing something with fun in it, you're doing it wrong.
Right. Exactly. Yes. I agree. I agree.
What would you say is your superpower?
My superpower is hearing a problem and it goes into the little machine up here, boop, 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 and I spit out a game. And it's just like, what do you need to know? I had somebody the other day say, how would you help people play like play a game or try to encourage their children to do their lessons for their instrument, right? So like your piano practice or whatever. And I was like, I don't know. And at first, that's what my brain wants to do. It wants to say, I don't know. And then it starts to go looking for, how do I know? Oh, actually, I do know, right? So I spit out 4 things for this person. Let me see if I can come up with some of them. But one of the things my husband would do when we didn't really give my son lessons. He's a brilliant genius musician, but he would have my son on the drums and he would just sit there and air guitar, just like, yeah. So coming alongside of them, doing it together, that's a huge way. Don't just send your kids off and say, go read, go play your instrument, go like, no, also get play a guessing game. Like, okay, I'm thinking of a song. It has has to do with bread, and they're like, oh, I got to play my hot cross buns. Like make it be the DJ and something like that. Or also just one of the main things I do is I chunk things down. So if you're supposed to do this long piece or practice for a half hour, it doesn't have to be straight, right? It's like, okay, go do this for 5 minutes and give them the increments that they can handle and enjoy. And then a lot of like, I mean, my son did so much improv and whatnot. So yeah.
Ooh, that's awesome. I love that. Such fun ideas. And I love that this is your superpower, being able to process things and reel things in.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you love other people to describe you as in 3 words?
Mm. Joyful and compassionate and generous. How about you?
I'd say creative, problem solver, um, passionate,
What was the third one?
passionate.
Nice. Okay, those three, I'm grabbing those two. I want 6 words now, please. Yes, I love to be creative, and I am a problem solver. It's just in my nature. Sometimes I have to shut it down a little bit and just listen, not try to fix.
Why those words? Why did you pick those words? What do they mean to you? The ones
Mhm.
that you have chosen.
Yeah, well, joy is just, for me, it's an energy. And I think that it makes the world such a brighter place when we engage in life in this level of like, I don't know, enjoyment. Don't define joy with joy, but it just brings life up. It's like, let's enjoy. We're here to with this one precious life. Let's enjoy it. And I've found that by being myself, by showing up with this energy, it's attracting and drawing in other people who are like that. And then it just grows bigger. Like, I want a world that has more joy in it. Um, what were the other 2 words I said? I want to be generous because life is not just for me, and there's not a limited supply of it, right? So like I have always just had a heart for other people, and I want to give generously. When people give to me generously, it means so much. And this can be a word, it can be my neighbor walked in with fresh squeezed orange juice. I mean, oranges, it takes a lot of oranges to make a glass of fresh squeezed orange juice, like so generous and touching and meaningful. And so I love that connection. And then compassion, we all come from different walks of life, different experiences, and yet so many threads are aligned with all of us. So many things are similar. And so having compassion, just reaching out like heart to heart and caring for others um, is something that I feel that if we have that more connection and more compassion, there will be less of the things we don't want to have, like wars and um, all of the friction and disconnect. We are actually more connected than we know.
So, so true. And I love that, you know. I would love to have a world with more joy because I think that that's the piece that's missing.
Mm.
Because we can find joy in anything. But it takes us our conscious decision to choose joy in the moment as opposed to choosing something else.
Yes, yes. Breaking through. That's such a great, I love that piece right there. Breaking through our limiting beliefs, seeing that we have a thought that's guiding our life, but it's actually a thought and we can flip it and have the opposite thought. So if you're thinking something today that you don't like thinking, try on another thought. Try the opposite thought and just sit with that for a while because they're all just thoughts and they do guide our behaviors and our actions, though. So, yeah. So let's choose joy. I'm in with you, Irina.
It's like imagine it's like having a wardrobe and you're trying on a different outfit and seeing if that fits. So
Yeah,
try on joy for a chance.
I love it. Try it on, dust it off, get it out of the back of the closet, give it some air, right? We need to let it out. I love it. And if you need, get some bubbles, take out a balloon. I have this one game that I absolutely adore. It is so simple. We take pieces of paper, write whatever we're practicing, one on each one, crumple them up, and have a snowball fight. And everyone's just laughing and cracking up and trying to get the snowballs. And then when you say freeze, you open it up and read whatever's on there and keep playing. And it's just, even the kids have a name for it. Like keepy uppy is the balloon game. Like try to keep it up. And we're just laughing and like trying to do the silliest thing, like keep a balloon in the air. But it's so easy to spark joy. Just take out simple things and revisit your childhood.
Totally.
I'm like, I get to do this every day because I play with kids. I have the best life. It's so great.
Yeah. Speaking of kids, what do you think is the most important trait to instill in a child?
Wow. I mean, I'm sure there's many, but I want to instill in children their absolute worth today as is, and that doesn't waver on what they know or don't know, how fast they learn or don't learn, but that each is so unique and such a blessing that we get to have them here. I want them to carry that with them, that they are a blessing and that they are enough and that they are worthy and that there's no measure for that. That just is.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's so so important because with having the worst, then there is no limit to what you can achieve, what you can become, and
Yes.
the innate ability to have that is so important.
Yeah. That
What
that
kind of
innate ability to make it through anything that comes for them. My 19-year-old is really struggling. That grief piece is coming up in a really big way for him right now. And I want him to know that he is capable and that it's presenting itself because he can handle it now. And so just that strength, that inner strength that you can overcome anything and that strength to be yourself because we need you as you are, not as someone else is trying to write you into becoming.
totally. What kind of advice would you share with single parents who are just stepping onto the journey of single parenting?
I think for me, like when we had the divorce and we're navigating our child, it was really important to me to try to be amicable. I know that there's a lot of examples of that now, whereas, our parents' generation or something, divorce, fighting and bickering and separation. And for some, you absolutely have a toxic situation and you have to separate. But if you can, building in like that we're still family and we both care for you and we're both going to do what we think is best. And my son, I found he didn't talk to me a lot, but I found some papers that he wrote, and he had written on one that it didn't even feel like we were divorced because we had dinner together and we walked together, and if our son was misbehaving, we had a family meeting, and so as much as you can, I think that energy, like trying not to talk badly about their other parent, and it doing your part of your energy. You don't even have to speak it. You have to do your inner work so that you bring an energy of love and acceptance and grace, and then so one piece is like energy and healing, and the other piece is support. I think it's so important to not go this alone, and it is a huge challenge to be doing a lot of things. I mean, single parent, sometimes the other partner isn't involved. Solo parent, there is no other parent, and I just had really wished that people would step in more for me. So finding that support as much as you can, taking breaks, giving yourself the freedom to like just if it's a off day, it's an off day, and it's okay. Let it go. Let all the expectations go. And thirdly, a really big piece that I learned the hardest way is to approach your child with the capacity for connection. My son and I butted heads all the time. It got really into a crisis mode for us. And it was like, can you not put your dishes away again? Can you not leave your stinky socks on the couch? Can you like, there's just this constant friction. Our relationship was all about chores, and we didn't get to enjoy each other. And it got to the point where he ran away, and it got to the point where I kicked him out of my house. And at that point, I sought parent coaching, another high praise for parent coaching. And they helped me see, do you want to be right or do you want to make it right? And do you want connection with him? And at that time I was like, connection? I don't even like this guy. But I went back and I was like, okay, as a baby, like, of course, that's why I wanted a child. I wanted a connection. I wanted that. I wanted love. And so I dropped all my expectations. I dropped the dishes and the dirty socks in the room and all of it. And all I did was connect with him. Some days that was hi. Some days that was here. I made this. Do you want a meal? And other days it was like, hey, let's go do something, and talking side by side. And he noticed the difference was vast. And the socks and the laundry and the stinky shoes and all that goes away. But the connection is what remains. And I have an adult child now that I am so connected with. Like you can't even imagine. Like, I was the poster child for a disconnect. And for me to have connection, I want you to know it's possible for you. I want you to know it's possible. Just keep showing up, keep loving, keep trying, keep admitting your mistakes, keep finding new paths, and just hold that intention of, I want connection with my child. I want a relationship with my child. And it's amazing when it comes. And some of you already have it. Keep on it. That was probably like 5 or 10 things. I don't know. There's not just one.
But it's the most important one, the connection part. I think that I wish we learned sooner about that connection part instead of paying attention on those things. Yeah, we want them to be clean, we want them to address appropriately, but when I guess our bickering comes as like they probably think that we don't understand them when we come from that mindset. This is how it has to be. It's my way or the highway. Instead, you chose an approach of just connecting,
Yeah.
seeing what you guys have in common, or finding those points, and then everything else will restore itself.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And if you can hire help, just get the dishes cleaned. I couldn't, but if you can. Yeah, that connection is everything.
Is there any book you read along the way that kind of helped you in your journey?
That's a good question. When my husband died, before my husband died, I was an avid book reader. And when he died, you know how there's mom brain when you have a baby? I had mom brain already. And then when my husband died, you have grief brain and you have this like complete fog and like no memory. And so books were not the piece for me. It was more like parenting coach, and being able to talk through like what's happening, and what really helped with the parenting coach for me was she looked at my rocky landscape. I shared this image on my Instagram too recently, but I had gone to a beach where it looked like the whole beach was covered in tiny tiny pebbles, so it's just rocky landscape, right? And sometimes our lives feel like it's just rocky landscape. And my parent coach came and she stopped and she looked and she, oh, what's this? And she pulled out a little piece of sea glass, and oh, what's this? And then more sea glass. And this was my experience on the beach. I was going to this rocky place and I ended up with a whole haul of sea glass. And so sometimes our rocky landscapes need someone to help us pick out and say, oh, look what you're doing. That's so good. You did that there. And oh, I noticed this and noticing good things about him and helping me to have a new perspective and to be awake to the goodness in me because I was really mired in the hardship and the
Yeah, totally, totally. Life can be like that rocky landscape, and I love the analogy that you make. It's so easy then to relate.
yeah.
Is there any fun projects you're working on that you like to share?
Yes, I'm so excited. So I'm on Instagram as Spark Joy with Amy, and there I share um, games, the activities that I'm doing with my students, and they are low prep, low cost, high engagement, high enhancement of learning and connection and bonding. Because when you're playing, you're doing way more than just learning, right? You're spending time together, you're having conversations come up, you're showing like just enthusiasm. And so everything is like enhanced and uplifted. So that's a place where I share that, and I'd love to connect with your audience there. Now, I have a conference is coming up just in the beginning of June, and it's Play 2K. So if you have a child who is getting ready for kindergarten, this conference has amazing people sharing different things to prepare, whether it's like sensory or if it's you're wanting to get ready to read, or for me, I like to obviously have play. And instead of this pressure of like, my kid needs to do blah, 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 I am creating a playbook from A to Z. This is a course that I actually did in person for my local adult ed. We had 3 to 5 year olds with their parents, and I set up stations with all the different learning styles and the letter of the week. Everything would start with that letter. And so I'm creating a playbook of that from A to Z. And one of the most important things I think is for kids to know their name going into kindergarten, knowing what the letters are and this. So this would be like pluck out some letters that you want to teach your child and play with it. And they're natural ways to play. It's not like, here, we're going to learn that letter M right now. It's like, no, we're going to go make some monster mash. Ooh, monster mash. What do you hear that's the same in those words, right? And you hear, oh, that's made with the letter M. So you just like have natural conversations around this letter and doing different activities, engaging with it. So I'm putting that together, and that's going to be available for sale in June and with this conference. And if anyone wants to, I can linking that conference. If you sign up through me, I would appreciate it. This is a whole new world of getting to share with a collaboration of other awesome people in the industry helping our youngest kids. So that's something I'm really excited about. And then lastly, I am launching, I've already launched, but coaching for homeschool moms and just coming alongside of them, hearing what their child likes, what their interests are, what they're practicing, and helping personalize so that they can learn how to get in the game and teach through play, because this is, you can have all the great content you want. I've taught for 25 years, and my story is I started teaching, I've got the key, and wait a second, these manuals have so much content, and the kids are just like glossy eyed. What do I do? This is not working. And so I help to show the method. You can have the great content, but if you don't have the method to get to the kids, then you're going to be having some resistance and struggling. So I help people to like start their journey, teach them how to implement play, help personalize games for their child, and send them on their way. So I would love and welcome getting to coach anyone who is interested in transforming their homeschool environment.
Awesome. I love that. We'll include a link in the episode notes to your
Yeah,
coaching, and we'll do kind of, I love that, the Play 2K conference sounds exciting.
so fun, right? Yes, I'm very excited.
Is there anything I haven't asked that you would like to share?
Well, there's this one story, and it's been coming up a lot for me lately, and it always connects with someone. And so, if you don't mind, I would just love to share this little story. It's a trip that we took. My family and I used to do home exchange, and our one of the first ones we were in Canada, and the family that we stayed with connected us with their best friends, and they took us down the river in inner tubes. It was a blast. So everywhere we went, we would try to like get on the river. And this one year we went to Idaho, but the river had was really high, and so the river rafting company was closed to that rented out inner tubes. So we decided, well, we still really want to go. It's so fun. So we grabbed our own raft from the house that we were staying at, went out to find a river, pulled over, and this policeman said, "Hey, do you need any help?" And we were telling him what we're trying to do. So he gave us a location, like, set down here. People go down the river, and then you get out at this hotel and you walk back. It's about a mile. We're like, great. So we went to this place. Nobody's there. First red flag, ignored. We got in this little inflatable raft that we'd got from the family we were staying at and tested it out. Okay, it holds all three of us. Great. So we start going down river. And I've got my camera out, my phone, taking pictures. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful day. And then my husband says, you need to put your phone away. We need to start rowing. There's a tree up in the river. And I'm like, oh, okay. Haha. He's like, no, this is not fun. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm trying to get the Ziploc. I'm trying to get it put away in my pocket. And it takes me a little while. By the time I start rowing, it's too late. And we get slammed into this tree it's called a strainer. We didn't know that until afterwards, but it was a strainer, and we are pushed right up against it. And I'm like, oh, haha. And my husband's like, this is serious. This is not funny. What are we going to do? So I'm holding onto the tree, and he's thinking, and he tells my son, okay, Lucas, I want you to try to climb out on this tree. And the second my son stood up, the boat capsized. So we were flipped under, and I'm holding onto the tree, and the water is just so strong. The current is extreme, and it's green. I can't see anything underneath. And I'm holding onto this branch, and I am trying with all my might to get my head above water. And I'm pulling, and I am pulling, and I'm pulling, and I cannot get my head up out of the water. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is how you drown. So by the time I let go, it was to drown. I thought my whole family was gone. I thought we were going to die right there. And it was when I let go of the branch, my body propelled up, and I got up. My head was out of water, and I gasped for air. And I was like, I'd never even thought of this. I didn't think that letting go was how I was going to live. And luckily for me, I was able to get right out. My son had gone under. He had a life jacket on. Thank the Lord. Thank the Lord it didn't get caught on the tree, but he got up and out right away. My husband, on the other hand, got down river about 100 yards or more. But he was never worried because he was, he knew how to float and he'd surfed. And so he never had a care about it. I, on the other hand, had a traumatic experience thinking this was it. Um, so this story has been so important because there's so many times where we are trying with all our might. We're doing the only thing we know how to struggle and strain and pull, and it might be that it's the surrender that actually brings life, and that brings something we weren't even considering, that we didn't even know was possible. And then the footnote to the story is, after we all got out and we were walking back to our car, the tree dislodged from the side of the river and it floated downriver. And that for me this week has just been a reminder that sometimes we have things that are blocking us in our life and they seem permanent and they seem impossible. And they might just be able to roll away. They might be able to break free, and you can break free from them, and they can roll downstream. So I hope that for anyone out there listening, if you're just struggling and straining, I hope that you find your release, and I hope that that thing that is blocking you will just be on its way. It is possible, even when it seems like it's not.
I love that story, and it's so beautiful and such a powerful lesson, letting go of the outcome, letting go of the expectations, that we often have a preconceived notion how something is supposed to be, and that's the only thing we can possibly kind of expect. Just like you said, I didn't even know that when I let go of the branch, it could be I'd be alive instead of drowning.
Like there was life.
Yeah. So many times we are so fixated on how something is supposed to be, and sometimes all we have to do is just set aside or let go. Sometimes they say you gotta let go of something good so something great can come through.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
love that story. Thank you. Thank you so much. If people would love to connect with you, learn more about you, where would they go?
So my Instagram again is Spark Joy with Amy, all in one word, no spaces. And my website is also sparkjoywithamy.com. There you can learn more about my tutoring services and my style and philosophy. You can learn how to coach with me and do tutoring if you want services for your child. I do online and in person, so that's available as well. And we'll link to the Play to K. I would love to have anybody interested be able to join that conference. It's going to be really special.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. We'll include everything in episode notes. It's been a pleasure to have you and learning from you. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. This really was a joy. I appreciate you and your audience for listening. Thank you. And maybe spark joy today.